In this video, we continue our discussion on Chapter 2, in which we go over supply, whereas in our last video we went over demand. In today's video, we will go over supply for a single good or service by recalling our firms, to then develop supply, and then conclude by distinguishing between a change in quantity supplied from a change in supply. With this in mind, beginning with some preliminaries, currently we are seeking to explain how price and quantity are determined for a single good or service, where we are accomplishing this task by an example, in which our example is a local town's pizza market that consists of consumers and pizzerias, where in order to explain pizza price and quantity for this market, this requires us understanding and putting both buying and selling behavior together. Last time, we began this process by going through consumers, where we determined that they were going to be the buyer in our market, and we examined their buying behavior by developing demand. Now we seek to repeat this process, but now with respect to firms. So, with this in mind, moving on to our firms, we know that they use their factors of production to fulfill their wants of profits. Furthermore, since we're interested in a pizza market, which is a product market, we will not be concerned with how the factors of production are obtained. This then means that the firms will be the seller in our market, in that they will transform their factors of production into goods and services that they can then sell, where the amount that they sell will be money coming into the company, and when they produce goods and services, there will be costs associated with that, which will be money flowing out of the company, or the difference between money flowing into the company versus money flowing out of the company will be their want of profits. So, now that we know that firms are the seller in our pizza market, we now would like to explain this behavior. So, let us consider a setup. Suppose that we have an individual pizzeria that is producing pizza slices in this market. The question that we then have is, well, how does this pizzeria decide on how many slices of pizza to produce as well as sell? Well, similar to what we saw with consumers and demand, our answer is going to lie in willingness and ability, where in this case, ability is going to stem from this pizzeria has a finite amount of factors of production and technology available, in that there's only so much land they have to work with. The location of their pizzeria has a limited size as well. They only have so many ingredients to produce pizzas with. They have a limited amount of ovens and space in those ovens as well, and their staff size is limited in size as well. So there's only so many pizza slices they can make with all these different factors. Now, in terms of willingness, when the firm uses their factors of production to produce pizza slices, that is, they use their employees at their location with their pizza oven and ingredients, costs will be associated with this, in that it costs money to rent out the space, it costs money to pay employees, as well as to get ingredients together. Furthermore, when they do produce these pizza slices, they will then sell them at a particular price point. So this firm would only be willing and able to produce these pizza slices if the additional money that they see from projected sale is at least as much, or if not greater, than the cost it is to produce that pizza slice. So when they see that this occurs, then the firm will be willing and able to produce and sell pizza slices, or in other words, they will supply pizza, or we will define supply as the willingness and ability to sell specific quantities of a good at alternative prices in a given time period, holding all other factors equal, or in other words, ceteris paribus. So, having identified firms as the seller in this product market and defined their behavior in terms of supply, we would now like to look at the determinants of supply by further breaking up the components of willingness and ability, in which there will be 7 components to consider. The first factor will be technology, in which we would expect to be positively related with supply, in that for this pizzeria, in terms of their technology, which we can say as their pizza oven, if they get a larger pizza oven or a more state-of-the-art pizza oven that can increase the amount of pizzas that they produce in the same amount of time, then we would expect that this firm would be willing and able to sell more pizza slices than before. An additional factor would be factor costs, in that, as mentioned, To produce pizza slices, it costs this firm money in that they have to pay their staff, they have to rent out a space, and they also have to pay for their ingredients to produce these pizza slices. If, say, the amount that they pay their employees increases, then holding the price of their pizza constant, it becomes more expensive to produce pizza slices then as a result, which we would expect to disincentivize the pizzeria to produce further pizza slices in terms of the same quantity. That is, they would reduce the amount of pizza slices they would be selling. So we'd expect a negative relationship. Third, we have other goods produced. Oftentimes firms will produce more than one good, and in terms of this pizzeria, they are a restaurant. It doesn't seem so far-fetched to see that they're probably producing calzones as well. Well, using the same materials, if this pizzeria can produce calzones at a cheaper price, at a more expensive price than pizza slices, then this would disincentivize the pizzeria to sell pizza slices as a result, and that they could generate more by selling calzones. So we'd expect a negative relationship between the price of other goods and the price of a particular good of interest, in this case calzones to pizzas. Alternatively, in that if the price of pizza slices went up compared to calzones, the firm would now have more incentive to sell pizza slices as compared to calzones. Fourth, we have taxes, which we think of as a cost to the government. If the firm has to pay more in taxes to the government, then it becomes more difficult for this pizzeria to operate, where holding the price of pizza slice constant, we would expect them to reduce the amount that they're selling, so there'd be a negative relationship between taxes and what's being supplied. Furthermore, we have the opposite of taxes, in which it's subsidies. Sometimes the government steps in and helps firms, where if subsidies increase, this is going to make it cheaper for firms to operate, where holding all other factors equal, we'd expect them to increase the amount of pizzas that are being sold, so a positive relationship between subsidies and what's being supplied. Sixth, we have expectations, and that as we saw with consumers and demand, what firms perceive to be in the future could affect their decisions today, where we would expect the price on their goods and services in the future to be negatively related to their decisions today. In that, for example, suppose that the national pizza chains decided that they're going to have a sale in the future. So with this information, in order to compete, this firm would expect that they would have to decrease the price on their pizzas as well. So in the current period, to take advantage of their higher priced pizza than they anticipate in the future, they would probably want to sell more pizza slices now, and that they could generate more than in the later time period with that reduced price point. Lastly, we have number of sellers. This doesn't have to do with an individual pizzeria, but the overall amount of pizzerias that are selling pizza in this town for this market, in which you'd expect to be a positive relationship, where at a given moment of time, if there's more pizzerias, then there's more pizza slices that can be produced than if there was solely one pizzeria. So we'd expect a positive relationship between the amount of firms that are able to sell a good with what's actually being supplied. So now what we'd like to do, in terms of now that we've defined supply and looked at its determinants, we would like to examine its key property, where with respect to supply, a key property would be a positive relationship between quantity supplied and price. And this can be stated via the law of supply. That is, the quantity of a good supplied in a given time period increases as its price increases, given no other changes. In which the intuition for this is, if the pizzeria were to increase the price of its pizza, we know that they have a want of profits. Well, with a higher price point, there's the potential to generate more revenue in terms of sales. So they would want to produce more pizza slices. When they produce more pizza slices, they will generate more costs in terms of materials used as well as labor, where so long as they can cover those costs from the additional revenue, they would go through with producing those pizza slices, and hopefully with that increased price point, instead what they would also see is a greater amount of profits. So this gives that positive relationship between price and quantity supplied. And so to visualize this, we have our supply curve on the left, and we have a supply schedule on the right, where for our supply curve, we have price on the vertical axis, and we have quantity supplied in terms of pizza slices on the horizontal, and we have pizza slice supply in red, in which we see going from points A through G, as the price increases from $1 to $7, we see that we have pizza slices supplied increasing as well. Returning to our supply schedule on the right, we see we have the same thing in that going from points A through G, as price increases from $1 to $7, we see that pizza slices supplied increases from 1 through 7 as well, indicating that positive relationship between price and quantity supplied. So now that we know that there's a positive relationship between price and quantity supplied, when we're given a supply curve in a particular price point and quantity that's being supplied, we would like to be able to visualize actual responses from the firm when price changes. So to do this, we can look at a change in quantity supplied, which is movement along the supply curve due to a change in the price of a good. So to see what is meant by that, let us turn to an example in which we have the supply curve on the left and the supply schedule on the right. So suppose currently we're at point A in terms of this pizzeria is currently charging a price point of $1 per pizza slice, where they would only be willing and able to sell one pizza slice at this price point. Well, now suppose that they decided to increase the price of their pizza from $1 to $4. Well, we know via the law of supply that price and quantity supplied are positively related, so this firm would be willing and able to sell more pizza slices, where after this firm compares additional money coming into the firm versus additional money coming out of the firm, they see that they'd be willing and able to sell 4 pizza slices. So then what we have then is upward movement along the supply curve due to the increase in price. Now, suppose that this pizzeria continues to increase the price of its pizza, now from $4 to $7. Same thing. We know via the law of supply that quantity supplied would increase. However, for this particular firm, for the exact amount, as they compare additional money coming into the firm through pizza sales, through additional money coming out of the firm from costs from producing these pizza slices, they would now be willing and able to sell 7 pizza slices at the price point of 7. So we have upward movement from point B to point C due to this increase. This contrasts, though, from a change in supply, which is going to be one of those non-price determinants of supply that we mentioned earlier, one of those 7, changing. And what occurs is instead of movement along the supply curve, we'll have a shift of the entire supply curve due to one of these factors changing. Where, using that pizza oven example, let us see what is meant by that. So, suppose that we have our pizzeria as before, and our original pizza supply curve in red, price on the vertical axis, quantity supplied in terms of pizza slices on the left, upward sloping pizza slice supply, and we're at point A currently, in which this pizzeria is charging a price point of $4 and supplying 4 pizza slices. Now suppose that they got a new pizza oven that lets them produce more pizza slices than they could before. With this improvement, what's going to occur is at every price point, they'd be willing and able to sell more pizza slices than they could before. So this is going to shift the supply curve to the right from pizza supply to pizza supply 1 in purple, where at the same price point of $4, this firm is now willing and able to sell 6 pizza slices. That is an increase of 2 due to this new pizza oven that they got. Now let us consider the opposite case, in which instead of a new oven, instead this pizzeria is not upkeeping their current oven. So starting at our original supply curve at point A, if this firm is not upkeeping their pizza oven, it is more difficult to produce pizza slices, and so what's going to occur is an entire leftward shift of the supply curve, where at all price points they're willing and able to sell less pizza slices, holding the price constant at $4. With this old oven, they are now at point B, where they're willing and able to sell 1 slice at the price point of $4, which is a reduction of 3 pizza slices. So, with this in mind, what we'll pick up in our next video is by considering our pizza market.